Today we're going to be talking about banned books, and more specifically, what are the arguments being made for and against banning books. So to begin, we're going to look at a background, and according to banned books history, book censorship dates back to 250 BC. And books aren't just banned right off the bat. First, they're challenged, and the majority of books that are challenged never end up being banned. So now that we have a little bit of the background, we're going to look at the pros to why people feel that books should be banned. So to begin, emulation. The NCAC, National Coalition Against Censorship, says that parents don't want their children reading inappropriate materials that they then emulate in their own lives, such as language or situations. Another argument is personal beliefs. The NCAC feels that parents hold specific beliefs of what they feel their children should be allowed to read and what they shouldn't. And Ruth Fuller describes a case in a high school where many parents felt that because of the language in a book, it was inappropriate for incoming students, high school students, to read on their summer reading list. And the third large argument is involvement. So Rachel Kramer Bussell writes that parents want to be actively involved in what their children are reading. Now that we know the pros, we're going to move on to the cons of why parents or people feel the book should not be banned. First of all, what's the difference? The NCAC feels that children are likely to be subjected to the same material in their own everyday lives as what they would read in a book, such as inappropriate language, inappropriate situations or themes, things that they would hear their parents say or see on TV. So they want to know what's the difference between reading it and listening to it. Another argument is that's not my opinion. Most of the banned challenges are concerned with individual sensitivities rather than beliefs held by everybody, according to the NCAC. And Judy Blume wrote that it's one thing for a parent to keep a book from their own child, but more often than not, they try and keep books away from other people's children as well. And she doesn't feel that that is what is best for everybody. Another argument against banning books is that a lot of good books disappear. So, according to Ruth Fuller, more and more children are having difficulty finding books they enjoy, especially boys. And the ones that they do find to enjoy, those are the ones where they identify with the character and the themes, and those are often the ones that end up being banned. Also, there was a case in a high school, which is what she's talking about specifically, where parents overlooked a good moral message that a book sent to kids simply because of the words that they used, and it dealt with themes that the children deal with every day. Parents just felt that was inappropriate, not taking into account what their children go through. Also, with good books gone, teachers' curriculum ends up being boiled down. They're reduced to generic lessons that don't allow them to personalize what they're teaching, according to the NCAC. And the last huge argument against banning books is whether parents are being involved or controlling. So, according to Bussell, most of those who oppose book banning agree that parents should be aware of what their children are reading and be actively involved in that. But they feel that there's a difference between being involved in what they're reading and talking with them about what they're reading to help them understand, and being restrictive and controlling. What does this mean for education? Where can we draw the line? So first of all, the first thing that we need to take into account is grade level. So books dealing with more mature content is going to be moved to higher grade levels. So, because they're more complex. Even in a local school, the Huckleberry Finn book was moved to only upper-level English classes, rather than being for the lower-level English classes of people the same age. In some cases, they feel that moving it up to higher levels, that those students will be more mature in understanding the themes of the book. Another thing to take into account is age appropriateness. And according to the NCAC, age appropriateness means different things for different people, making it hard to determine what is or isn't age appropriate. But they said that in education, appropriateness is loosely based on what children should have experienced up to that point in their lives. So if it's a book about incoming freshmen, the children should be incoming freshmen because they'll understand what's going on in the book. Whereas if it's in a situation where they can't relate to or that hasn't happened to them yet, it's not appropriate for them to read. So to conclude, we need a solution to appease both sides, both people who feel that banning books is good and that banning books is bad. So I think my solution would be to rate books, kind of like the MPAA rating system for movies. It would take a lot of the pressure off of teachers and schools and even parents, because now you'd have a guideline and all books would be rated. So it'd make deciding on books and opposing books a lot easier. Judy Blume objected to the idea of rating books because she didn't want random people just rating her books and making decisions for her. But with a rating system for movies, oftentimes the director gets to choose the rating. There's a guideline that they have to follow in that you can only have a certain amount of curse words per, group. But that way, people are aware of what is in the book. So the author would be able to rate their own books, or there would be like a council for those authors who are deceased, where somebody would rate their books, such as other authors, scholars, teachers, people who understand how books should be rated. So I feel that that is the best solution, and this is why people are opposed and against banning books.